So let's get started. What we're going to do today is just run through a simple PowerPoint presentation for about 2 to 3 minutes. And really for the major chunk of the webinar today, I'm going to walk you through the software of Velixo, just showcasing how seamless it is for you to connect your data from Acumatica all the way to Excel. Now, I think I was already introduced as the VP of Channel Sales and Customer Success here at Velixo. I always do like to touch on our founder, Gabriel Michaud, who has, over 20 years experience in the ERP space. And on top of that, he actually worked for Acumatica for about 5 years. Him and our CTO, Pavel, they both did work for Acumatica. So what you're going to see today is really our product has been tailored to the Acumatica ecosystem. Now, I'm assuming most folks here are in the US. You'll see from the map below, we do service many countries. I believe we're in 27 right now, but by far our largest markets are the US, followed by Australia, Southeast Asia, Europe, and then Canada, where we're located. I always like to stress that, we've grown very quickly in just the last 5 years alone. We've gone from 0 customers to, as of this month, we will have reached the 1,000th customer mark plateau. And I like to emphasize that all the customers we work with are in the Acumatica ecosystem. All right, so what everyone here will see once we download Velixo for the first time, which only takes 30 seconds to roughly a minute, is that there is going to be a ribbon in Excel called Acumatica. And then when we click on said ribbon, you're going to see a drop down of the functions that you will all have access to, such as drill down, such as refreshing your data, but I'll go into detail a little bit later. I always like to emphasize that, we have created 70 unique functions for financials, projects, and generic inquiries. I'm going to touch on generic inquiries quite a bit this presentation because I know Mary let me know that this is a big need within the NexTec ecosystem. Lastly, and always most importantly on this slide, I'd like to emphasize that all the data today that you will see is in real time and refreshable at the click of a button. Now this is, I promise, the second to last slide before we kick into the demo itself. And from my perspective, this really is a pillar of our business. Yes, you will see the product, you'll see it being lightning fast in terms of being able to connect with the data within Acumatica. But we wanted to make sure that everyone who needed access to this software has access. And what I mean by that is we have an unlimited user model. So if you're going to have 1, 5, 10, even 50 employees from your team who need access to Velixo, there's going to be no additional fee for that. Outside of that, we have many users who utilize Velixo for, all the functionalities such as mimicking the permission rights within Acumatica when they're trying to utilize Velixo. So your team's not going to have to worry about an individual trying to access something they don't have necessary access to. So let's say one of your employees is trying to use the budget module and you've set them up where they don't have access to the budgets within Acumatica. They still won't have access when they're utilizing Velixo. This is always a nice slide I like to showcase. We weren't able to, unfortunately, include all of our customers on here, but it's just to give you a snapshot of some of the organizations that we're working with right now. We really are industry agnostic. We work with really every single industry right now. Every company has finances at the end of the day, and every company wants to pull their data from their ERP. I do, though, like to focus on Acumatica as, they themselves have seen the value in our software. They've actually purchased it for their own financial use. With that being said, let's get started with the demo, where I'll be able to walk you through the installation of Velixo. Then we'll get a little bit more granular, where I'm going to go through a simple trial balance. And then I'll even walk you all through a sample pack report, where we'll be able to go through the main functionalities. The first thing that we do once you sign up, or if you're an existing user, because I'm sure we have some existing users on the platform today and who are listening in, is number one, We're going to send you a link. And on that link, once you click on that, you're going to see Velixo download. And then just like that, you'll see how quickly it's going to start downloading. Like I mentioned, it takes 30 seconds to about a minute for Velixo to install, and then a new Excel worksheet will open up. You will have to install this for each unique device. And I always like to mention, we've launched this program originally for Windows. So all the functions I'm showcasing today are available for Windows. We have launched Mac about a year to a year and a half ago now. Every single function is available outside the report distribution and write back functionality, but those are coming down the line. All right, so let's get started off our first worksheet. Let me zoom in. Okay, great. The first thing everyone today will see is that ribbon up top, Acumatica, that has been installed. Once you click on that, you're going to see the dropdown of those functionalities, such as refreshing your data, connecting it to Acumatica, drilling down to a specific transaction, sending out reports, pushing your data back to Acumatica, a few additional functionalities, and then support that you'll see on the right-hand side. The first thing we are going to do today is connect Acumatica to Excel. So you'll click on that connection manager and you'll simply add your connection. And then you'll just fill out your appropriate fields and we'll be off and running shortly. A few items to mention here. Number one, the connection name that you're using, I suggest to keep it as short as possible because as you're building your reports out, you're going to be using this function quite often. Secondly, I think the Remember Me icon is self-explanatory, as you'll see here. And then we do support SSO or Active Directory. So if you have a more secured login setup, you'll be able to still maintain that secured login, and the steps are available on our website. And I don't want to forget to mention is the username and the password that you're using in Acumatica to log in is the exact same one you're going to use to log in here. So you don't have to remember another username, another passcode. I think we have enough as it is. All right, so let's go ahead and connect. And then we'll get started on our first worksheet. Okay, perfect. So you'll see the cloud in green. That means we are officially connected to Acumatica. In the event you have multiple tenants, you can definitely add multiple tenants to one given spreadsheet. Just click on Add Connection, and then you'll be able to add your secondary or third or fourth tenant. We have, I believe, one of our customers, I believe KFC, they have, I believe, 44 tenants. All right, so since we are connected, let's go through a simple trial balance. And this was really the foundation of Velixo. We got started on pure financials and then we evolved. So I always like to showcase Velixo, how it started off, and then after that, we'll get into a sample pack report. Now for today, we can put in our jail accounts one by one, but I think the reason we set up this webinar was to showcase how we could assist with your reporting needs and automate as much as possible. The first thing you will notice, if you look right up top, is that insert chart of accounts. If we click on that, we'll see the connection demo. And all you'll simply do is click on insert, and then you'll see all your accounts populate in real time. If you click on the cell, you're going to see this is one of those 70 dynamic functions that we created. So at this point, or at any juncture in your report writing, you can log out, log back in, click on refresh all, and you see right up top here. And then any accounts that have been modified, added, removed, automatically updates in real time. Next, we're going to look for our account name. So I'm going to type equals account name. Once you do so, you're going to see a drop down where it would show you the commands. So for ours, it shows demos. So that's our connection. And then we'll just put the account right here. But let's say we want the entire array. Oh, we don't want B7, we want A7. We just got the array just like that. So you'll see the hashtag that will take all of the values. And just like that, we have our array. Next, I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few additional filters here. All right, so let's take 12, 20, and then we'll take actuals. Perfect. At this point, you can go the same route I previously went, where we'll type equals, account, ending balance. But if your team, and I'm assuming most of you on the call today are familiar with Excel, so I'm sure you all have seen the icon insert function. If you simply click on that, you'll notice in the category section, we've added 7 new categories. So generic inquiries, projects, general ledger, audit functions, list functions, and write back. I'm simply going to take general ledger, and then we'll click on the account ending balance. Et voila, all we now have to do is fill out the appropriate fields. You can, I'm going to leave sub-account blank for all intents and purposes, but you can consolidate based on sub-account just as easily. And here we have our financial period. Fantastic. So at this point, we are officially completed. But before I click on OK, note where it says help on this function. If you click on it, it's just going to direct you to our support page where we provide assistance with every single one of those 70 functions. You'll number one, see the syntax to be utilized, any parameters and descriptions. Let's scroll down just to show you. We have different examples, which are a little bit off the beaten path of what I'm showcasing. And it's just to give you a better idea on how else you can utilize Velixo and the functionalities here. Oh, I always like to mention any limitations. Outside of that, I did showcase just this function, but if you'll recall here, help.velixo.com, let's just go to help.velixo.com. This is where you will find our canned reports, so example reports, tutorials. I'm going to be going over the P&L and trial balance momentarily, but you'll see we have various reports available there. And then we have some getting started videos. So, some of the functionalities I'm showcasing today, you'll be able to find 2 to 3 minute clips on YouTube or on our website here. All right, so let's click on OK and let's have the fun begin. Let's make this look a bit better. There we go. All right, so we have our actuals now, we have our financial period, but let's say we're looking for November. Just modify date range, values update in real time. But we're not done here. So let's say we're not only looking for that, we want to compare 1 year versus the previous year. Same idea, values update in real time. But let's say we're not looking for our actuals compared to our actuals. We want our actuals compared to our budget. Budget's part of the ledger. You could have multiple budgets. It's just how you set it up within Acumatica. And then you'll see it update. I'm going to scroll down just so you can see there are values in this scenario here. But this is where some of those additional functionalities, such as hiding 0 rows, hiding 0 columns, will come into effect as you're building your reports. Lastly, let's get the variance. All right, so we have our variance, make it a little bit cleaner. And before we switch on over to our sample report pack, where I'm going to spend the remainder of the time today, I want to showcase how you can group specific accounts together. We're going to take a first example and we're going to look for a specific set of codes. So let's say in our instance, we wanted 10-100, 10-200, and then 10-300. All you'll do, copy the appropriate cells, and it's going to take the combination of all 3 of those values. Now let's say we're looking for a range. Say it's 10-100 all the way to 10-750. Same idea. The last one is something called wildcards. And this is best explained by an example. So let's say we're looking for any account with a leading 1. Let's just put 4 question marks thereafter, because in total, there's going to be 5 digits. But let's say we want everything with a 1 and then Besides, we don't want 10,200. And then you'll see right there, it updates in real time. So this really was the foundation of Velixo, how it all started. Financials was the bread and butter of our product. What I'm going to do now is switch on over to the sample pack report that I previously spoke about, but didn't showcase yet, and give you a little bit more fuel to the power of Velixo. All right, so we're just going to log in here. And let's zoom in. All right, I always like to showcase the Acumatica ribbon. But you'll see here this specific reporting pack, we have a P&L, trailing P&L, income consolidator report, cash flow statement, and then you'll see a few additional reports on the right-hand side, and we'll be going through some of the functionalities of these later on. Now for this specific P&L, like I mentioned previously, it is available on our website, so you can repurpose these if you'd like. So for this specific P&L, you'll see we have multiple branches. So let's say I wanted to switch on over to Service West. You will see the report for Service West. And then let's just go back to consolidated and let me showcase one of our most highly utilized functions. So if you look up top at the ribbon, we'll look at drill down. And for those of you who have not heard of drill down yet, what it allows you to do is click on any cell within any one of your spreadsheets and go to the source transaction directly within Acumatica. So this is that tight integration and that ability to see your invoices really in a matter of clicks. And I swear it's not 20 clicks, it's not 30 clicks, but let's go into this now. Let's take a look at the total operating expenses. And let's just click on the icon drill down. See momentarily, there's going to be a new sheet that opens up. Let's zoom in a little bit. So this sheet is going to showcase all the associated transactions in the total operating expenses. It's going to let you know what sub-account would be coming from, the financial period, the branches, and the associated balances. But I don't think we're done there. I want to show you how it is tied into Acumatica. So I'm taking this example right here. Let's scroll back to the left. And all we're going to do is click on View Transaction. And then just like that, you're going to see we're going to be pushed into Acumatica. So just like that, we're in Acumatica. I believe we will be in the account detail section. Here we'll be able to see it's one at the Hilton. We see the amount. But you can click on the reference number and you can get to the source invoice. All right. There we go. Happy we have a file here that I can showcase. So you'll see here, once it populates, this is the original invoice. So really, I think it was 4 maybe clicks, getting from your spreadsheet all the way to the source transaction. And once you've done that, let's say we want to go back, make sure everything looks accurate. You can actually click on drill back. If you look at cell A15, it's going to show you exactly where this transaction came from. So this came from the travel category. So that was the functionality associated with drill down, very popular with a lot of our users. Now, what I'm going to do is pivot on over to generic inquiries as the secondary piece, because I know this is going to be of high value to many individuals on the call today. And for those of you who don't have extensive knowledge or experience with generic inquiries, really what it allows you to do, or generic inquiries, is just a different view within Acumatica. So you have pre-built ones that are provided by Acumatica, and then either yourself or NexTec may have helped you create a generic inquiry. I'm going to go into an example of one. So bills and adjustments is a prime example of a generic inquiry. Now, we're not going to do anything here. We're going to leave this inquiry as is. I'm sure you know you can modify the template as you see fit. But like I mentioned, we're not going to do any of that. We are just going to click on, give me one second. There we go. We are going to click on Edit Generic Inquiry. And we're just going to copy the inquiry title, and we'll bring that back into Excel. So we're going to bring all the data that you see here into Excel and live where we can set the parameters and we can filter through that. So let's just copy the inquiry title. And let's get back into, let's just make sure I'm connected once again. It's good I didn't choose this one. All right, so let's get into the sheet right here. All right, so at this juncture, I'm going to type equals GI for generic inquiry. And once you do so, there's going to be a drop down that says, okay, tell me your connection and then tell me your inquiry title. Once you do that, now it's going to start extracting from Acumatica, and then it's going to load in, usually in a matter of seconds. Looks like it's thinking right now. But as you see below, you'll see that it's launched, loaded 493 of the credentials. Okay, it took all the 2000. So you'll see here, really in a matter of seconds, your entire inquiry just loaded from Acumatica. So this is your entire bills and adjustments. But now let's say we wanted only, let's say we wanted vendor status, and then currency. What we can do at this point is we can create a filter and then put that filter into the inquiry so that the next time we log into our report, just click on refresh all because the parameters have already been set. You can change your date range if you like, and really you have your customized GI created. So in our scenario, let's say we're going to look for vendor, we wanted transit. And then for status, we wanted open. What I'll do at this point, equals GI filter, just like before. We don't want P5. And once we do that, we're going to put our demo connection in. We're going to put our inquiry again. And then all we're going to do is take the above variables that you see. So vendor, B1, status, B2. Just like that, we have created our filter. And you get the hang of it once you build it once or twice. But all we're going to do, copy that filter, and we'll put it into our inquiry. And then you'll see that update in real time. So let's say for status, we were looking for close now. You'll see it update in real time. So it's based on the filters that you already put in. So this is a functionality. So generic inquiries are becoming more and more heavily utilized with our user base because it really opens up the floor to any single module within Acumatica. Okay, great. So the next functionality I'm going to talk about today is the new distribution list. So you'll see right up top here, it says new distribution list, but I'm going to go into an example because I want to be mindful of everyone's time today. And this is going to be the template that you will all see, where you'll be able to fill out the appropriate fields for yourself. Firstly, the format. How do you want to send out these reports? Excel, PDF, or if you're sending it to an external stakeholder that doesn't have access or doesn't need access to the formulas, you have the ability to remove formulas. File name, you'll see. Tab selection, that is just based on the below sheets that you see here. Folder path, so this is, let's say we wanted to save our reports to OneDrive, SharePoint, or another online medium. Just put the folder path there and it's going to automatically distribute. Then you'll see the recipients. Well, let's just scroll to the right because this is where, in my mind, the real customization comes into play. And just so everyone knows, I'm going to actually send this report out so everyone can see what these reports look like. But firstly, just so you can see here, you can put the reports in the body of an email as opposed to an attachment. You can even pick a piece of a report that you want to send out. So let's say you have a CIO who only wants to receive the COGS. You could send them a report that's only showing that. And then lastly, you'll see here, you can filter by branches. So if you recall, I showed Consolidated and Service West. But there are so many other filters. If you look at the top left that you can utilize, you can even create your own customized filter. Now, once we're ready to distribute our reports, just mind you, I'm saving it to drafts because I do this quite often. You can send immediately if you'd like. All we're going to do is click on distribute all, and now the reports will get sent out in real time. We're only sending about 7 reports now, so it should take about 45 seconds or so. But if you're sending, let's say 40, 50 or so reports, might take a couple of minutes. Some customers have told us they used to spend hours, if not days, sending out reports. So I don't know if this opens up the door for your team and saving some time, but for our customers, a lot of them utilize this functionality as well. All right, so it looks like we have almost completed the send. We're going to get a notification once it's complete. Perfect. At this juncture, let's get back into our reports. All right, so let's go into our drafts and let's look at, all right, so let's make this a bit larger. There we go. I always like to start off with the consolidated P&L. And just wanted to emphasize with everyone today, we extract everything that is on your spreadsheet. You could even send out reports that don't have any Velixo formulas in it. But this is an example of consolidated P&L. You'll see I'm going to scroll to the second page. We take graphs, tables, whatever you're using Excel for, so you can use just Excel related functions. We take that, so you really have full range flexibilities, and your ability with Velixo is really based on your ability with Excel. So that was the first example. I like to showcase this one as well. So, in this instance here, we're sending this report in the body of an email where we have the CFO who only wants to receive the net sales. So you can easily set that up. Next example here, just showcasing a report being sent in body of an email. So you'll see the income consolidated report right here. And then lastly, always like to show specific branch. So in this instance, we are sending it out to Service West, and we've removed the budget in this scenario. So really with the reporting capabilities, you really have, like I mentioned, the ability to slice and dice your reports the way you want to see it or the way you want your external stakeholders or members to see it. All right, so this was the report distribution side of Velixo. Now we're going to get into the next functionality, which is called write back. And just to give everyone some context here, write back allows you the ability to push back your data to Acumatica. So there's no more, only being able to export on, only able to bring the reports into Excel, but you can actually push the reports from Excel into Acumatica. You'll see the first icon right up here says perform write back, but right next to that, you're going to see a new sheet, and you're going to see 4 different write back scenarios. First one being journal transactions, then budgets, then project forecasts, then generic write back. If I click on the journal transaction, you will see the template that populates here, where you'll be able to fill out your appropriate fields and essentially push this back to Acumatica at the click of a button. The journal transaction function, write back functionality has automated a lot of the processes because you don't have to make those manual entries into Acumatica anymore. Now, the second one, and I always like to showcase an example, but the second one here you'll see is budget. And I'm sure almost everyone today is using the budget module within Acumatica. But you'll see an example here that we created. And if you've utilized the budget within Acumatica, you'll see it's very similar to the one there. And we did that on purpose. In this instance here, you'll see a revenue and expense account. You'll see 2 custom columns that we've created. You'll see, your total forecast taken by the prior years. We aren't seasonally adjusting this right now, but you can use standard Excel functions to seasonally adjust if you have more sales that are going to come, or if you want to put more of your volume for your forecast into period 5 or period 6. Very easy to update that. In our scenario, let's just say we wanted to modify the COGS. You'll see it's going to adjust evenly in our scenario here. But because we're working in Excel, we have even more flexibility. We can create a collaborative experience with some of the members on our team who, let's say a number of us are going to be working on these reports. All we'll do is we'll right click, and then I'm going to type new comment. At this point, let's say, at Marianne, can you please assist? And then she'll get that notification, and then we'll be able to both start working on the report itself. But what's great about this is that if you click on review and you see the comments, you can see the trail of everyone who has worked on this report itself. So, it gives a little bit more reassurance before you're actually pushing this back out individually. Now, once we're at the point where, our report looks fine to be pushed back to Acumatica, all you'll do, let's go back to our Acumatica ribbon, is click on Perform Write Back. And then just like that, your budget has been pushed back to Acumatica. If you see here, I did not release the report right away. You have the ability to do so, but my preference is to release it once I'm within Acumatica, just in case I made any mistakes. And then once you go directly into Acumatica, let's see, we are in our demo environment, which is good. All right, so let's type budget, and let's click on release budget, where all you will have to do is release your budget once you are in the field itself. So this functionality, the write back functionality, like I mentioned, it's available for journal transactions, budgets, projects. So anyone using the construction edition in Acumatica, Velixo works just as well for financials as we do for projects. Out of those 70 functions, I believe over 40 of those functions are designated for the project module. So, when you're going onto our Velixo website, you'll see the functions there for that as well. And we have a sample pack as well available. And lastly, but most importantly, generic write back functionality. So now this opens up the door to be able to push your data back to any single import scenario within Acumatica. So with Acumatica, like I mentioned, you have predefined GIs, and then you have ones that either yourself or your partner has helped you create. So let's say I wanted to use an import scenario to one of my views in Acumatica. Let's say we're looking at cash sales, for instance. All we'll do at this juncture is click on Create Generic Write Back Worksheet. And then you're going to see momentarily there's going to be a new sheet that opens up with the appropriate fields for this inquiry. And if you scroll to the right-hand side, if you do make any errors, you will see that there is an error on the right-hand side, and it will let you know what the error was. So it's not going to push back something that it should not be able to push back. So that right there, and this is becoming more and more utilized by a lot of our existing customers, is being able to push back not only generic write back, but being able to push back projects, budgets, and journal transactions. Now, the last item I always like to mention and always like to focus on is the support that we have available. So you'll see right up top here, our Velixo blog. We're constantly updating this with content that you can utilize to help you utilize Acumatica and Velixo to its greatest extent. So you're going to see some video and some content that we have available here, such as hiding 0 rows, which I showcased today. But I do have to showcase where you can find an abundant amount of our videos. We're going to be migrating everything over eventually to our new website that should be coming out in about a month, but don't quote me on that. But we have a Velixo YouTube channel where we have videos that we have created for customers. So you'll see here, connecting to multiple tenants, allocations, reconciliations, pivot tables. So you'll see a lot of content here. And if you look within the last, what was it, 5 months, we've come out with over 10 videos. So we're trying to come up with as much content for customers just to make sure that you are aware of how you can utilize Velixo to its greatest extent. But you always have the NexTec team who's going to be there for you. Like Mary mentioned, they have many of their members on their team who are consultants with NexTec, and they are certified with Velixo. So they have all the expertise required to be able to assist you with your reporting needs. So that was the majority of the functions I wanted to showcase today. I hope this was helpful for your team, and I'm going to pass it on over to the NexTec team right now.
Okay, thank you, Duffy, and thank you everyone for attending today. If there are any questions, we're going to go ahead and open it up for about 5 minutes for any Q&A. And just so everyone knows, you will be receiving a follow-up email at some point on Friday or Monday with a copy of the slides and a link to the recording. Also, if you would like to set up a more detailed demonstration and deeper dive into Velixo, we'd be happy to set that up with your team as well. Duffy, looks like we got a couple questions. First question I see, how many users from my company can have access to Velixo?
Yeah, so there is an unlimited user model, so it's not restricted to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 users. So one license provides you with unlimited users for your organization.
Next question, how many, does Velixo service Mac products?
Yes, so like I think I mentioned earlier, we recently launched the Mac product for Velixo users. Almost all the functionalities are available outside of report distribution and the write back functionality, but we are working diligently to bridge the gap, and that should be completed in the near future.
Okay, great. Looks like we got one last question, then we can go ahead and wrap up.
Okay.
So you can not only export, but import our data as well.
Exactly. So that's the newest and shiniest thing within the Velixo suite of services. Is now there's import scenarios that you can utilize. You'll see the write back functionalities as well that you'll have to journal transactions. So a lot of the customers who worked with us for the last 3, 4, 5 years, they've only known about the financial side of it. So this is a new tool that we've launched, and the write back functionality is becoming one of our most highly utilized tools within our suite of services, because you get that flexibility of pushing what you want back to whatever screen you see in Acumatica.